This is a HeadGum podcast.
Folks, it's time to get Quip. Me and Joe do it. It makes toothbrushing easy. Brushing your teeth, just like making love. The kind of thing you don't really know if you're doing it right till you start doing it right. And folks, Quip is brushing done right. It's the new electric toothbrush that packs just the right amount of vibrations into a slimmer design at a fraction of the cost of bulkier traditional electric brushes. It has guiding pulses that alert you when to switch sides, making brushing just the right amount of effortless. It's true, you really don't have to think about it. It lets you know when to move on to another quadrant of your mouth. Quip also comes with a mount that suctions right to your mirror and unsticks to use as a cover for hygienic travel anywhere, whether it's going in your gym bag or your carry-on. And because the thing that cleans your mouth should also be clean, Quip's subscription plan, or subquiption plan, surprised they didn't think of that, I'll have to let them know, refreshes your brush on a dentist-recommended schedule. They deliver new brush heads every 3 months for just $5, including free shipping worldwide. Quip's backed by a network of over 10,000 dental professionals, including dentists, hygienists, and dental students. Most toothbrushes don't get named one of Time Magazine's best inventions of the year, but Quip did. It's time to find out for yourself why. Quip starts at just $25, and if you go to getquip.com/CU right now, you'll get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/CU. GETQUIP.com/CU. Folks, it's going to be love at first brush.
Hey, folks, guess what? It's We'll See You in Hell, your favorite podcast that commentates, discusses, and reviews horror, sci-fi, and fantasy films. This is Joe DeRosa coming to you live from the thick, uncut Dick House. Ooh. And that's Patty Walsh. And it's time to get on with the show. And what else, Pat?
Well, I just want to be clear that while I do have a dick and it is thick, it is very much cut. I don't want to let anybody down if my nudes get out there.
And by that you mean ripped.
My dick is like ripped, like
it's a very muscular dick. It's got a six-pack.
There's veins in it, but I am cut. Let's just be real. You, Joe?
Yeah, I'm snipped.
Snipped?
Not in a vasectomy way, in a Jewish way.
In a Lorena Bobbitt way.
Hi-oh!
Is that a timely joke? Folks, I bet a lot of people listening to the show don't even know who Lorena Bobbitt is. Who was in more jokes from 1992 to 1999?
Michael Jackson is
You're right.
The only one that could give Lorena Bobbitt a run for her money. It was Lorena Bobbitt. It was Michael Jackson. It was Monica Lewinsky.
Sure. That dress.
Anyway, I'm sitting here sipping a nice little whiskey. Pat also has a little whiskey. No, we're not drunk. Get off our backs. We work hard for this.
Maybe you're fucking drunk.
Yeah.
You ever think of that?
Yeah.
Maybe you start throwing out the fucking accusations.
You know what? Maybe I wouldn't drink so much if I didn't have to listen to your goddamn nagging every day.
Yeah. Joe, how great is it being off Twitter? Do you ever miss it?
Not even a little bit.
Right as I was about to follow you off, I realized I got to promote my fucking program and I can't get off. But I want to be off.
I still promote. I just promote through Instagram and then send it over to Twitter from Instagram.
Yeah, but how many people are really clicking on Instagram on Twitter? I've never done it once in my life.
But it goes out as a tweet. Or get a second.
If somebody's tweeting and I see it's like an Instagram link,
then get a second.
Not in a million years.
Then get a second party app that lets you promote, and then you can tweet without going onto your actual Twitter.
I'm going to go ahead and promise you I'm not getting a second party app.
Why?
In order to get onto Twitter. I'm just jealous. I wish I was off of it.
It's a shit show
It's
filled
a drain
with
in our lives. I am way more off of it than I used to be. I do an occasional check-in. I'm horrified and I get off. But it's a good way to kind of get news, and I'm not talking about that.
It's a terrible way to get
fake news, folks.
It's a terrible way to get news. It's a good way to get one-sided alarmist news from
true.
either side of the argument.
That's true.
It's terrible. It's a horrid.
Shit's alarming. I mean, let's be real. Shit's alarming.
Well, but I'm saying like everything delivered to you, whether it's pro-Trump, whether it's anti-Trump, whether it's pro-Hillary, whether it's anti-Hillary, whether it's the state of the economy, whether it's the state of investment banking, whether it's the media, everything is turned to an 11, and it's just not a good way to get news. It doesn't make you feel good. It's people screaming at one another, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. It's a sick fucking world.
That's why Joe goes to Breitbart.com. Breitbart.com for fair and balanced reporting.
In all fairness, in my defense, I stopped reading Breitbart when Steve Bannon left.
He was sort of your Walter Cronkite. Steve Bannon.
I always called him more of a Katie Couric, but yeah.
I admire Steve Bannon for, pushing past what we initially thought of him, which is, let's be honest, this guy got here because of his looks. And he revealed himself to be deeper and more knowledgeable at every turn, and not just the sort of sex pot we initially thought he was.
Right. And people said, this man is defending a potential racist. And he said, no, I'm leaving to go defend a potential pedophile.
Yes, exactly. It's a good time. It's a good time.
Hey, folks, as they say in True Detective Season 2, we get the world we deserve.
As I said whilst watching True Detective Season 2, when is this over? Folks.
Is it time we get on with something, Pat?
Yeah, I guess let's go ahead and get on with the show, and at the same time, on with the Joe.
Now, Pat, you failed miserably at your promise to do 90s hit songs.
You don't give me any build-up time. It's like, do it, and then I do it like a fucking trained monkey.
Here's
so
what
tonight
I
did
done.
it like a tugboat, and I think people probably enjoyed it.
Here's what I would have done. Ready? Give me. Let me do it one time.
Please do.
Get on with
Contribute
the
something.
Get on with the show, and in fact, we should also get on with the Joe-O, 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 Joe-O.
I am still dreaming of your tits. What's that song?
It's Everclear.
It's every Everclear song. Gown, gown. Gown, gown,
Yeah.
gown, gown, gown. There are 9 songs that have that riff.
He was the one. There was that song. There was the one where he's like, "Me and my black girlfriend."
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Santa
Santa Monica is a great song.
I love Santa Monica.
And a terrible city. I once said to a buddy of mine, I held up the Everclear greatest hits, and I said, why don't they just call this gown, gown, chicka, gown, 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 gown. That's all they got.
And I often, Santa Monica for me often bleeds into Backwater by the Toadies. Those two songs,
Now, Joe,
you could make
I'm
a
so
mega
glad
mix.
you brought this up again because you brought it up in the last podcast, and I just let you go. I didn't want to interrupt.
In the last
time we discussed 90s music.
Oh, okay.
But I knew you were wrong, and I just let it go because we were already getting tense. But many people pointed out on Facebook, and I present it to you now. Backwater is a song by the Meat Puppets. With backwater certain there is
what's the
something
Toady
that'll
song?
never...
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Toadie's song is, I come from the water, gown, gown. I come from the water. I come from the water.
It's called I Come From the Water?
The song is called I Come from the Water.
That's the name of the song.
It is. That's a great song, and it's the follow-up to Possum Kingdom, which is
No,
a song about
I'm
a
talking
vampire.
about the Possum Kingdom song.
That is gown, gown. That's similar riff.
That's the
but
one
it's
I'm talking
Make
about.
up your mind.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Decide to walk with me.
Yeah.
Around
That song I always
the lake
bleeded.
tonight.
I always bleed that into Santa Monica by Everclear.
I guess, well, it upsets me because the Toadies are so great, and you're lumping
I
them
love
with
it.
Everclear.
I'm not shitting on either band. I love
So
both
you were
songs.
calling the wrong Toadies song Backwater.
Yeah.
And you were actually talking about, not I Come From the Water, but Possum Kingdom.
Yes.
And most people know that song as Sweet Angel.
Yeah.
Like the one night I worked karaoke at this bar in New York, this guy kept requesting Sweet Angel, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he meant Possum Kingdom, which should not be the name of the song. It's a song about vampires. It'd be a good song for Joe's Scary Stuff.
It is a vampire. Because I was going to say, it's a song about like a murder. He's like murdering a body or dumping the body.
He's a vampire. It's a very cool song. Very cool song. And a great band. And I've also recently started listening to a lot of the Meat Puppets. But Backwater was their big hit, but it was a big hit because Cobain started referencing them all the time.
My dear friend Dan Weinstein and I will often play a game called, well, it never really had a name, but it's basically Aerosmith Mega Mix. And it's that every Aerosmith ballad is interchangeable with another Aerosmith ballad, and you can just do a mega mix of all of them. So we would go.
I prefer, outside of Sweet Emotion and Dream On, I prefer, at least in the later years of Aerosmith, I prefer the ballads to the rock songs. We would go Jaded. I love that song.
Yeah, we would go, I'm crying because I left you. You're amazing, angel, baby.
Yeah, they can segue into one another pretty easily.
Yeah.
Jaded is definitely the last great Aerosmith song, but it's a really, really strong melody for people that late in their career.
What Jaded is. Which one was that?
Not jaded, my baby blue.
Now, Pat, you've often said...
I've been thinking about you, mama. That's a great song.
You've often said in musical arguments, not just Aerosmith debates, but musical debates in general, that I Don't Want to Miss a Thing is not only the best Aerosmith song, but the greatest song ever recorded. You've said that many times.
I've never said that, Joe, but I do love the song, and I remember the summer I started dating my high school girlfriend.
Your sweetheart?
My old sweetie piece. She's married with like 9 children now, but she wanted our song, if I remember correctly, to be what it became, I'll Be by Edwin McCain.
How's that go?
I'll be your crying shoulder.
Oh, God.
I'll be your love suicide.
What a shitty song to be your song.
Yeah, it's a terrible song by Edwin McCain. A huge hit at the time. And the other huge hit, but it had just become a hit, was I Don't Want to Miss a Thing from the Armageddon soundtrack.
That song is terrible. You like that song?
It's terrible, but they were the 2 big love songs that summer that we started dating. And she kind of was like, I want it to be this one or this one. And I was like, they're both so bad. And we went with I'll Be, which was good because it didn't get so overplayed, because obviously that movie was huge that year. And in fact, I used to work at the West Olive 16 Cinema as an usher. And when people were getting out of Armageddon that summer, I would wave to them as they left and say, hurry up, guys, my Armageddon tired.
Oh, God.
And I tell you, Joe, these people laughed like you wouldn't believe.
I don't believe you.
My Armageddon tired.
I don't believe you.
Anyway, had a lovely relationship with that young woman, and our song became I'll Be. Joe, have you ever been with anyone long enough to have a song?
No. Oh. But I did once request that a girl I was dating, that our song be on Bended Knee by Boyz II Men.
Oh, God, give me a reason.
And she said no. And then I said, well, how about Motown Philly? And she said yes.
Motown Philly back again.
No, I never had a song with anybody. I've never dated anybody more than, I don't know, maybe 6-7 weeks.
How do you do it?
No, I went 9 months with somebody once, but we didn't have a song. We had more of a daily fight. No, we didn't. I remember she loved that song by oh, God, now I'm gonna blank. I can't remember, some shit fucking song she always liked. I was always like, I don't like that song, and she'd get upset with me, and I'd go listen to Bad Religion, slam the door, just want to be alone.
This was your last girlfriend, right?
No, not my last. I'm kidding. I wouldn't slam the door or go listen to Bad Religion. What was the song? Oh, Silver Sun Pickups. That's the song she loved.
Silver Sun.
That band, Silver Sun Pickups.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the one that was like a Smashing Pumpkins ripoff? That
yeah.
Song? That was a catchy song.
It kind of sounded like, that 1979. Yeah.
But I don't remember what the chorus was. I just remember the verse was like, "Bing there."
The chorus was the most questionable part. The chorus just went, "Come, come, come, come all over the room."
No, it didn't.
Shoot your cum on the lamp
Joe,
in the walls.
that
And I was
can't
like,
be right.
why is this? Why are these the lyrics, folks, to this Silver Sun pickup song?
It was a wild, wild bit.
Anyway, Pat, it's good to see you. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing fine. It's the holiday season. Of course, you probably noticed that since it's 87 degrees outside and sunny. So why wouldn't it be the holiday season?
It's a real shit. L.A. during the holidays is a real shit time.
I found myself going over to the Grove just to get some sort of semblance of like lights and music.
Yeah. It's
At the fucking Grove, the most empty place in perhaps all of Los Angeles.
I never go to the Grove. I just go to the Americana.
Outside of some of these actresses' heads, folks.
I only go to the Americana. I don't go. The Grove is too far, and it's the same thing.
Yeah, you know what I mean. The Armenian Grove is the Americana.
But you find that empty. You mean emotionally or physically?
I find it just to be like a big mall, but like they managed to somehow get a little more spirit than other parts of LA. This big like consumer dump.
They make it snow every night.
They make it snow,
which I like.
And they have the lights and the. It feels colder when you're there for some reason.
Look, a mall feels like Christmas time.
That's right.
A mall always feels like Christmas time.
That's right.
Which I like. We used to do a mall crawl every December 22nd, me and my buddies, through the King of Prussia Mall in Pennsylvania. We'd hit every bar in the mall, which you'd be fucking surprised at how many there were.
Right. Corn dog on a stick bar, the steak escape bar.
It was the best. It was
Wetzel's Pretzels.
It was a really, we would always say that, the mall at Christmas time is just, there's something that you get you in the spirit.
Orange Julius bar.
All right, Pat. Do you ever think I've had enough? You ever think I've put up with enough? Do you ever think maybe it's time to give Joe a break? Let him fucking have a breath for once? Does that ever occur to you?
No.
All right.
So let's head over to Pat's Movie Corner.
I need to get some ice, so you start it off.
Go for it. Folks, I watched an old sitcom that I had bought years ago and just started tearing through it. And I watched seasons 1 and 2. I had a real nice time. I like watching a sitcom from the beginning. You can watch it evolve and grow and the characters shape and etc. And the show was called Norm. At first the Norm Show, and then it became Norm in season 2. Norm Macdonald's short-lived sitcom. And I watched it when I was in high school. I hadn't seen it since. My dear friend Ian Gomez, who was on my show, is in it. The great Laurie Metcalf, justly discussed in the possible Best Supporting Actress race this year for Lady Bird, is also in it. And Max Wright, the dad from Alf, who was caught in a meth den with male prostitutes near the end of his career, and rear-ended a cop car while drunk on champagne. This was the dad on Alf. Anyway, he's in it as the boss. And I got to tell you, folks, especially in season 2, this is a very funny show that was like playing by the rules of a sitcom, basically, but then you could tell they were like, we'll play the game over here, but then we're going to slip in some of the weirdest, darkest jokes you've ever seen on network television. And I thought that the show was extremely funny in spots, and that Norm should obviously do more sitcoms. He's a delight. He can make anything funny. I urge you to check it out. It's also cheap on Amazon. I referenced News Radio. It's nowhere near that good.
How much is the Norm set on Amazon?
The whole set's about $30.
Wow. And for what, 2 seasons?
3.
3? All right. Well, $10 a season. That's not bad.
The second season's great. And they get good guests like Jack Warden, who was in Dirty Work and all, like a lot of funny people.
If I'm not mistaken, and from Norm Macdonald's lips to my ears.
Oh.
The one time I met him, He was a delightful man. That was the final appearance of Richard Pryor
That's correct.
on anything.
He barely speaks.
Yeah. So, all right, I gotta. I watched it when it was on, but I don't really remember.
Yeah, it's no classic, folks, and especially the first season, you're going to be like, I don't know if I want to even stick this out. But by 2, they're having a lot of fun, and it shows, and I liked it. And they bring in Artie Lang, season 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I love Artie. I've got a couple rewatches for the movie corner this week. I rewatched a film called 976 Evil, which was Robert Englund's directorial debut. I think it might have been the only thing he directed, and I can't remember. But anyway, they released a special edition Blu-ray of it. I got it on Amazon for like $12 or something, and it's the original theatrical cut and also the home video version. I'd only ever seen the home video version, so I watched the...
Box used to scare me at the video store.
It's a creepy box. Now, 976 Evil, it is not... I would not call it a good movie, but it is fun. It's enjoyable. It makes virtually no sense, but... The saving grace of the film is, and I'm blanking on his name, but the kid from Heaven Help Us, and he plays Evil Ed in the original Fright Night.'s the star. That kid is fucking incredible. Like it's. I want to.
Is it William Ragsdale?
No, it's. I'm blanking, and I don't feel like
Bill
looking it up.
Ragsdale.
It's not Bill Ragsdale. Anyway, he's just great in it. He's great at playing weird, offbeat characters. He's really enjoyable. Also the lady, and again, I'm blanking on a name, the lady from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf plays his like Bible thumping mom. She's great.
Elizabeth Taylor.
No, the young blonde in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Sandy Dennis?
Yes. She plays the Bible thumping mom. That bald guy from Nickelodeon shows up at one point.
Bald guy from Nickelodeon? What is this?
He was like the older bald guy.
Do you have dementia?
That was on like all the sketch shows. I never knew the guy's name. I don't know the fucking guy's name. He looks kind of like an older David Cross kind of a vibe.
No clue.
Anyway, it's a fun movie.
Was he on Square One?
Yeah. It was like, one of those fucking things.
Robert Picardo?
Yes. Yes.
Guys, are you aware of how good I am? And how little respect I get.
I mean,
I didn't even look that up on my phone.
Some call it good. Some would say it's psychotic, Pat.
Oh, Bobby Picardo? Yeah, I used to read the Leonard Maltin's movie guide all night when I was a kid.
Guy. You're like the cable guy. That's literally the point that you're at. Where
except I don't try to kill anybody.
Not that I've seen.
Not that you've seen.
I wouldn't be surprised though if I woke up and you were standing over my bed one night. I wouldn't be shocked.
Masturbate.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to go through all that trouble, at least give me something. Let me get something out of it.
Sure.
Anyway, it's a fun flick. If you like it, it's campy old, 80s horror. It's, it's funny because when I was watching it, and this never dawned on me until this last watch. These movies come out nowadays where it's like about like I watched this horror movie on Netflix, and I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember anything anymore. But it's about a horror. It's about an app that like makes your worst fears come to life, and then it kills you. Whatever. Yeah, it's okay. But I just was like, oh, this is like what people do now. Like they find a thing that's popular and they go, well, let's make a horror movie about that. And it's funny when I was watching 976 Evil, I was like, oh, this was like the app horror movie for the 80s because the 976 numbers were big.
It's a sex line that.
No, it's a horror scope line. But it's fun, and there's some good deaths. It's a great scene where he goes to a poker game that these bullies that fuck with him all the time host, and he's killed 2 of them. And he goes up and he goes, "Can I enter the game with a pair of hearts?" And like pulls out the 2 hearts. That's a cool scene. It's fun. It's goofy and fun, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. But I enjoyed it. So there you go.
Right. I watched a little picture called Addams Family Values.
David Krumholtz once again.
Krumholtz is in it. I remember seeing it the day before Thanksgiving when I was probably 13 years old.
Yeah.
And loving it. I loved the original. And I just kind of forgot about the franchise, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a minute. It's on Amazon. I tell you, at least for the first half, this thing's got some of the darkest, best jokes. It was a fucking amazing comedy. It loses its way in the last half for sure. Joan Cusack takes over it. I love Joan Cusack, but she's trying to marry Fester for his money.
Okay. Well, that's weird. You never see Cusack in an underhanded role. She's always playing like a very
it's kind of hard to watch.
Sweet,
she's playing
endearing.
like a real bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird.
But especially for the first half, I mean, these jokes are so funny, and you couldn't do it today. They're actively trying, Wednesday and Pugsley, to kill this baby for the entire movie. They're putting knives above its bed. They're trying to decapitate the baby.
Well, Christopher Lloyd, who played Fester, has often said in interviews that the Addams Family Values was really a heightened commentary on the abortion argument.
Really?
I don't know if you knew that. Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. It's about abortion.
Lloyd is great in it. Julia's great in it. Houston's great in it.
Yes.
And I love both the pictures. Now, the first one had the Addams groove. That's what made me think about watching it, the MC Hammer song, because we were singing it on the last episode.
Well, they do what they want to do.
Two
They
episodes.
say what they want to say. Yeah.
So stupid, that song. And then apparently on the second one, Michael Jackson he recorded a song called like It's Spooky or something. Then he got in all that trouble, and then they added a joke into the movie where Krumholtz steps into this cabin, screams like, ah, like you think somebody's about to kill him, and they look up and it's a poster of Michael Jackson.
Wow.
And he's playing like a 9-year-old boy.
Yeah, and Krumholtz is like 10 years old in the movie.
I'm saying
right?
he's playing a 9-year-old boy. Yeah, he's 9 years old. So,
well, but the way you said it sounded like he was 35
no.
portraying a 9-year-old.
No.
It's like he actually is like 9 or 10 or whatever.
There's all these jokes about murder and the baby dying. At one point, they whip up a hair of the pup, like a hangover cure for the baby. The baby's sitting there in sunglasses like he got wasted the night before and he's hungover. Like there's weird jokes, dark jokes.
What did he do the night before?
The assumption is that he's hungover. They're making him, a hangover mix in the morning.
So the baby went on a bender for some reason?
That's the implication. Yeah.
Why though?
It's just a joke, Joe. You wouldn't like this movie if you're going to ask that many questions.
I just don't get what I don't get the bit. But
now at the end, since they didn't have the Michael Jackson song, here's what happens the second the credits roll. This like very classy, well done movie. Credits go like this. Whoop! Addams Family, there it is. Whoop!
Oh boy.
Addams Family, there it is. I couldn't believe my ears.
And is it Whoop? It's the Whoop, there it is, guys?
I assume it was tag team.
Speaking of which, we reviewed Justice League a little while back.
Yeah.
And you said
Justice Week, a better name.
Sorry, about a week ago, 2 weeks, whatever it was.
Week.
It was fine. We talked about Booyah.
Yes.
Cyborg.
Right.
And you said you made the joke. He should have said Whoop, there it is.
Yeah.
I talked to a friend of mine who also is black.
Okay.
And I said I thought it was weirdly racially uncomfortable that they had Cyborg say booyah. And he said, no, he says that in the comics. That's like his catchphrase. So I was like, all right, well, I'm glad they just didn't throw that in. So
that's still weird, yeah.
I don't know. But my point is apparently it was a thing.
I loved Addams Family Values, and the best part is I remembered it very vividly from my childhood. They're supposed to be doing the Thanksgiving play for all the parents of the first Thanksgiving. And Wednesday and Krumholtz and Pugsley all flip it on them, and they're like, we're the Indians. And then it's like, you thought you could take our land, bitch? And they burn this place to the ground, and the Indians win. And they're like, they go through this whole thing of like, our ancestors are forced to work in casinos and drink too much alcohol, while your ancestors sit and get rich and play golf. It was like very, very pointed shit. I imagine like Native Americans cheering this because it was like really great.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Then they start shooting flaming arrows at the camp counselors, who are Christine Baranski and Peter McNichol from Ghostbusters 2.
I love Peter McNichol. Christine Baranski she was in
Sybil.
She's in Bowfinger, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
yes,
I love her in Bowfinger.
I do too. They are turning those two over a flaming spit.
These two are playing camp counselors?
Camp
They're
counselors.
40 years old at the time this film came out.
That's right. They were a little younger, but yes. They are When the scene ends, they are roasting them on a spit that they are tied to with flames licking their body, and they're screaming while bound and gagged. The kids are turning them on a spit. And then Wednesday walks over to the little blonde girl who was playing like the head pilgrim, now tied to a stake with rags all around her, soaked in kerosene. And Wednesday strikes a match as the scene ends, presumably killing
Jesus Christ,
her friend. And I loved it. I loved it.
All right.
I was very impressed by how dark it was.
Dark sequel. That's like Babe 2, Pig in the City is very dark. It's very dark. Yeah, there's that whole plot line with Mickey Rooney being the magician that like has enslaved animals, and like it's dark stuff.
Yeah, I got a joke like that in my show of Tony Rock's talking about how he likes church girls, and he's like, they're not so churchy at home. And then Jay goes, oh, I got you. Babe in the streets, Babe 2, Pig in the City in the sheets. And I put it in.
People get it?
I put it in at the table read because you get like 5 chances to like see a script performed.
Right.
And at the table read, I was like, nobody's gonna laugh at this.
Right.
And it kind of got this like weird rolling laugh where people like kept laughing for like the next minute. So I kept it in, but I was like, I guaranteed the room of writers. I was like, this will never be on the show. It's too stupid. It's too strange. And then sure enough, went up on the night of the show, got a big laugh, and then we gave Tony, the black guy there, he goes, what about me makes you think that I would understand that reference? And then another huge laugh. And I was like, this joke is going to stay in the fucking show.
That's very funny.
Babe 2, Pig in the City.
I can't believe that many people got that reference.
I
guess Babe, Babe
pleased.
won an Oscar, I think, or was nominated.
People know Babe, yeah. But if you just say Babe in the sheet, no one's going to the Pig movie.
Sure, yeah.
Plus, Babe 2, Pig in the City was a notorious flop.
Yes.
Lost millions and millions of dollars.
Shouldn't have been. It's not a bad film.
I hated it. I saw it in the theater. And
Why'd you hate it? Too dark?
Yeah, I wasn't willing to go on that journey with Babe. I didn't love Babe that much to go down that journey.
I never saw Babe 1. I've only seen Babe 2.
Well, Babe 1's a delightful movie.
It's a little too childish for me, I think.
Okay.
But I don't know. Babe 2 was childish too. It was dark for
it
wasn't Return to Oz dark.
No.
But, you know.
No.
All right. I have one more for Pat's Movie Corner. I saw again, it's a rewatch, but we've never talked about it on the podcast, but I watched. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do another rewatch. I'm going to do a new thing that I did see. Trailer Park Boys. Finally started watching the Trailer Park Boys.
Never seen it.
I'm embarrassed to say I'd never really seen it either. I've heard forever from a ton of people about how funny it is, how great it is. I'd never really watched it. Finally, like, sat down and started watching the new season. Hilarious. It's great.
The new season is funny. It's like season 18
It's
or
like
something?
literally season 11, I think.
Okay.
It's really funny. They're really funny. I want to go back now and experience the entire show. I'm excited to have discovered a new thing that I can now trudge through and get to see from front to back. So that's going to be fun, man. You know, all I'll say is this: Bubbles, who is the guy with the big thick glasses, who's like sort of, I feel like the poster boy for Trailer Park Boys. Mm-hmm. They did an in-character interview on Kimmel to promote the new show. And Kimmel says, at the end of the interview, he says, "You've had a lot of celebrities in this newest season. That must be very exciting." And Bubbles puts his finger straight up into the air like this, his index finger straight up in the air, and he goes, "Oh, yeah, I was excited. My bird was doing that." Which destroyed me. I was like, that's so fucking funny.
Okay.
And he just kept sticking his finger up in the air going, "My bird was doing that. It was doing that, my bird." And I was like, that's really fucking funny and stupid and immature, and I love it.
So they just like sit around, or are there stories to the show?
Well, this season, I'm assuming they've done this before. Again, I've never watched it, but this season it's like sort of like a Road Rules kind of thing, where it's like they're in America. It's called Out of the Park, and they're in America, and they have to do these tasks. Like they travel around and they have to do tasks, and then they incorporate clearly like real people into the stuff a little bit. It's scripted and everything, but like they will go into a bar and you can tell like they're actually talking to a waitress or a waiter or whatever, and that person's actually reacting. So it's got a little bit of a Borat-ish feel, but it's just a funny show, man. They're endearing characters. The one guy is very, I would only assume was an influence for Danny McBride with Eastbound and Down, because the one guy, like, it is Kenny Powers, like, in my opinion. It's like, he wears the gold chain outside of the T-shirt, the fucking, like, ridiculous wine shirt, crazy pointed sideburns, goatee. Loves weed, like, right. So I think it was probably like a little bit of an inspiration for Danny McBride, which is cool. I love Danny McBride.
This is a Canadian program?
Yes.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was really funny, and I look forward to seeing. They're very irreverent, which I like. These three dudes as a crew. They have a new show called like the Drunk and Drugged Up Party Hour or something, where it's like a sketch show. And it's like, I watched a thing about that, and they were like, you guys have done, like, it's them playing black people, it's them playing Chinese people, it's them doing drug humor, it's them doing sex humor, it's them cursing, it's them doing, it's like, I kind of like that they're like kind of irreverent, and they seem like nice dudes, and they're just like, yeah, we just kind of do whatever we think is funny. It reminds me of It's Always Sunny, quite frankly. It's that kind of thing.
How are they playing people of other races?
With makeup.
And they've gotten no flack.
Well, they live in Canada. I don't know. Maybe they have. That's the kind of the point. Look, It's Always Sunny to get any flack when they were dressed up as Danny Glover doing the because I think if there is some weird thing that you can do where if you do it right and it's funny enough, people are like, they're joking. They don't mean any harm.
Big old risk.
It is. Well, I mean, It's Always Sunny did that whole episode where they turned black for the whole episode.
Yeah, that's true.
So look,
Although I myself know a black lady who really did not care for that episode.
Well, sure, but I mean, here's my point: whether you agree with that or not, or whether you approve of that or not, and I mean that for any somebody playing a Chinese guy, whatever the hell it is.
Well,
I appreciate,
and now's the time, elephant in the room, to tell everyone I was just cast as Mulan in Disney's live action.
And also, you helped fund the Trouble with Apu.
I did, yes.
Look, obviously, and I can tell you this by the amount of people I know that don't agree with blackface, but are also furiously annoyed at the Trouble with Apu documentary.
Okay.
There are clearly right ways and wrong ways to do things. And there are right ways and wrong ways to do humor. And I think humor always comes down to, is it funny or is it not?
People are mad now about the Simpsons portrayal of Apu?
No, they're mad about the documentary.
Sure, yeah.
Like this is,
I haven't seen it yet.
This is the argument now. Yeah. So it's, look, again, like I'm not taking anybody's side.
Wait a minute. I did see that documentary.
You did. I know. You told me about it, Pat.
Yeah. All right.
My point is this.
It was so short, I felt like I hadn't seen the whole movie, but I did. It's like 40 minutes long.
I'm just saying, whether you agree with the joke or not, I agree. I like when humorists are taking risks. I appreciate that. Because you could say about 1,000,001 people that have done things that weren't racial, but perhaps of a comedic sexual nature, or a comedic drug nature, or drink, or whatever the hell it is. Like there are people that get offended and the people that don't. And I like when people are taking some risks out there. And my favorite comics take some really crazy fucking risks. Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot less of that going forward.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's just how I feel.
I hear you.
But anyway, we're 37 minutes in. We should get to the matter at hand.
Okay. And that matter is Friday
Family
the 13th.
Matters.
Folks,
somebody's at the door. Talk through this, Pat, because I think Vince, our friend Vince, just showed up I got to let him in, but just keep talking, Pat.
I have a Friday the 13th Blu-ray set that I bought for like $40 on the Warner Brothers lot, and it's all the movies, including Freddy vs. Jason. Dogs barking. Hey, Vince. Now, I never opened this thing, but when we reviewed Freddy vs. Jason on the show, I opened it. And Joe, me opening that box set cost me about $1,000 because I just found out that the set is out of print and going for an outrageous amount of money.
Pat,
I opened it to watch Freddy vs. Jason for this podcast.
This is my problem with you. It's your greed. When is it ever enough?
Joe,
when is the money ever enough?
If
Why
I could
do
have
you
sold
feel
this thing
the
to
need?
get $950, I would have fucking done it.
Why do you feel
and
the
who wouldn't?
need? Why do you feel the need?
Who wouldn't?
And I'll tell you, folks, for you, those of you at home that don't know this about Pat, and I'll tell you this about Pat, I don't care. I'll put it out there. He says things like, I'm going to gouge these poor fucks. He says stuff like that. He goes, fuck them. If they knew anything, they wouldn't be poor. He says things like this.
Now stop it.
And then he...
Who are the poor fucks I'm claiming to be gouging?
I don't know. It's just funny.
No, but I opened it and I put it up online. I'm selling my used copy of it now for like $400.
$400?
And that's used.
I could have bought this goddamn thing for like $80.
You should have bought it.
I didn't know.
It went out of print and I hit a real sweet spot with it. But I was like, maybe I'll try to watch all the Friday the 13th before I sell it. And I watched the first one and I said, oh no, here's why I've never seen any of the other ones. From the jump, this is a shit franchise.
It's a shitty movie. It's a shit, and I'm glad you feel the same.
Do you feel that any of them are even slightly above average?
I will say absolutely. Friday the 13th 2 is where it kind of kicks in.
All right, well then I'll watch that tonight.
Friday the 13th 1 is a really boring setup.
It's so boring.
What I liked, what they did. So for those of you that don't know, the first Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, the boy that was deformed and bullied, died at Crystal Lake because the camp counselors were being irresponsible. 20 years later, or whatever the hell it is, he's back for revenge. He's killing camp counselors and whatnot. And then at the end of the movie, you find out it's not Jason Voorhees. It's not a supernatural zombie situation. It's his mother killing camp counselors for revenge. To avenge her son. And then in the last moments, the only really cool part in the movie, which is, well, aside from Kevin Bacon getting killed on the bed, that's a great kill. But aside from that, the only other cool part in the movie, in my opinion, is Jason's, zombie body jumping out of the lake at the very end.
Yeah,
very
but
cool.
Here's the thing. I always remember that as the final scene of the movie, and it is awesome.
Yeah.
But then there's the fucking, it was all a dream, and she's in the fucking hospital bed after that.
Right.
Now, they couldn't even get the ending right. They get this great ending. Like
Right.
The Fury, which we talked about on last week's show. They understood that if two telekinesis-having people square off and one causes the other one to explode using only her mind, that's the time to wrap up the picture.
Let me save you some time.
Friday
in
the
future.
13th gives us this tacked-on shit prologue. And does that woman come back even? Why do we need it? Is
No.
she some beloved plucky heroine?
She's in the second one. But that's one of the things
She's no Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's one of the things I liked about the Friday the 13th remake.
Okay.
Was that in the cold open they tell the entire story of the first movie.
Right.
And then show like, that's
about what it's owed.
Yeah, the mom's dead, but now Jason actually is back. That's a really, really great way to open the movie. But it's, yeah, I agree with you, dude. I can't disagree. Friday the 13th is not a great film. I, in fact, own the Top 100 Horror Movies book by Fantastic Press. Now,
Bragger.
There's shit in this book that I absolutely do not agree with. Mainly their number one choice and quite frankly, their number 100 choice. But I will say the one thing I do agree with in the book is, or one of the things I do agree with in the list is that Friday the 13th is not on it. Nowhere. And I think a lot of people would include it in their lists out of obligation. Say, you got to include this. Now,
And you don't even get the mask in this first one. I assume that's introduced in 2.
Well, he does potato sack in 2, which is scarier than the hockey mask.
Okay.
Because it gives it like an Elephant Man vibe.
Sure.
Which makes it more disturbing for some reason.
All right.
Hockey mask comes in 3.
I'll try to watch them all. I got
to. 2's good. 3's fine. 4's fine. 5 sucks. I love 6. 6
Manhattan?
is a fun romp. Jason comes back from the dead. He gets struck by lightning. It's goofy. It's fun.
Okay.
5 was supposed to be the end. Well, 4 was supposed to be the end. Then they did 5, but it wasn't Jason in 5. It was somebody pretending to be Jason. So then when they did 6, it was called Jason Lives, and they actually brought Jason back. And there's a scene, it's very self-effacing. There's a scene where there's a grave digger filling in Jason's empty grave, and he goes, digging up Jason Voorhees. Who the hell would want to think that was a good idea? It's fun. It's very fun. 7 is great as well, which is a direct continuation of 6. After that, they get pretty, aside from some fun kills, I can't really go to bat for the quality.
Which one is Jason Takes Manhattan?
That's 8.
Okay.
It's got its moments, sure. Jason Goes to Hell is, in my opinion, dog shit. Jason X, which is the space one, not a good movie, but fun. The coolest Jason kill I've ever seen, where he puts a woman's head in liquid nitrogen and her head freezes, and then he smashes it on the countertop, and like head slurpee splatters everywhere. That's pretty cool. But I mean, that being said, it's not a good movie. It's entertaining. Much like 976 Evil.
What do you think of Jason Bourne?
Now, Pat, that's not related. And, and this is what I don't like when you do this nonsense stuff.
Well, shit. I mean, how did this become one of the classic horror franchises when there's not a classic amongst them?
Well, I mean, it was an early slasher film. It came out I think the first one came
80.
First one's 80?
The goal was to rip off Halloween. Explicitly stated in the documentary.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's like, look, I've never been that impressed with the Saw movies. They're about to release Saw, or they did release Saw.
Jigsaw, it's out.
10 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
It's like, some of these things just catch on, and people, whatever
Folks,
it is
at this
about
point,
them,
the man's so old, he's just making jigsaw puzzles. Just 90 minutes of a man making a jigsaw puzzle, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen. It's I don't know. It's, for some reason, there were 5 Final Destination movies. It's like,
I remember the first 2 being awesome.
They were okay. They were fine. They weren't like
That's cool shit. Folks, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Patrick Walsh. You can find me in the club with a body full of bub. Mama, I got what you need.
Sure. As always.
And my television show, Living Biblically, premieres on Monday, February 26th, after the Winter Olympics at 9:30 p.m. Check it out.
Joe DeRosa Comedy on Instagram and Twitter. Penthouse column, You Let Me Down. Check it out. And we will talk to you soon, folks.
That was a HeadGum podcast.